everybody? Tony Shields, Rob Ellis hanging with you on this Monday. Man, it's sure a lot more fun when they win, that's for sure. But the Eagles lost 33.
I'm having fun, Rob.
I'm
having tremendous amounts of fun.
I can tell.
Can't you tell?
I can tell. I can tell.
I'm just letting loose, letting my personality just paint the walls.
Let it flow, man. Let it flow. All right. So, Tone, I'm just going to reiterate this. 28th in points per game. Talking defense now. 28 in points per game. Points per drive, 29th. Yards per game, 22nd. Passing touchdown, 31st. Third downs, 32nd. Red zone, 30th. Horrendous. Okay. Let me take it a step further here for you. I have so many notes that I'm losing my mind with how many notes that I have. So the Eagles are a plus 21 point differential this season. You know what they were this time last year? Plus 138. So they're plus 21 this year through 13 games. Last year they were plus 138. Okay. You want to talk about a difference? Just bad. Just bad. Shane jumps in. The D is constructed badly. Back seven are all guys. We're cherry picked off other teams. We don't draft and develop our own. That's on Howie. The dude's washed. I don't think Howie's washed. But I think there's reasons for concern. There you go. All right. So a couple things here. 109 points allowed last three games. That's an average of 36.3. They allowed 10 straight drives at one point. If you take the kneel down away at the end of the 49er game where they weren't trying to score, 10 straight drives with points, Tone, either a touchdown or a field goal into last night's game. 11 touchdown drives of 75 yards or more in the first 11 games. They've had 8 in the last 5 quarters. 8 touchdown drives of 75 plus or more in the last 5 quarters. They can't get off the field. They can't stop anybody. They're getting beat in all kinds of different ways. I don't know what to say.
Oh, man, all you can do is laugh to keep from crying, Mr. Ellis. You know, it's so funny. Somebody had a post that I starred because it really stood out to me, right? It was the blonde boy. He says, why are we not talking about Gannon running 100% different defense in Arizona? This goes deeper than Desai.
Yes, it's a philosophical thing.
And thank you, the blonde boy, for your input. That really resonated with me because I think Seth Joyner brought this up as well. He says there's a common denominator here. Jim Schwartz gave up over 500 total yards in the Super Bowl and refused to address it. He ends up leaving the Philadelphia Eagles, and he takes some time off. Then he goes to be a consultant for the Tennessee Titans. Then he eventually takes on the DC role with the Cleveland Browns, and that defense just looks electric. Not just from a talent perspective, but just how they approach defense, right? The philosophy, just what they're doing, their tendencies. They look amazing. A completely different style of defense that we saw in Philadelphia when he had pass rushers of that caliber, maybe not Myles Garrett caliber because he's one of one, but he had legit pass rushers that can do damage. Yeah. But a completely different defensive philosophy from when he won the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles versus him with the Browns. Jonathan Gannon goes to the Cardinals. A completely different philosophy than what he called in Philadelphia. So now that begs the question. Jim Schwartz is gone. Jonathan Gannon is gone. Sean Desai is in the building, yet the defense is still the same from a philosophy standpoint. Mm-hmm. So who's really the culprit? Did we point the finger at Jonathan Gannon unjustly? Did we rip Jim Schwartz unjustly? Are we ripping Sean Desai unjustly? Who's responsible for wanting this defensive philosophy in place? Is it Howie Roseman? Is it Nick Sirianni? Somebody fill me in, because now we're 2 coordinators deep into the Nick Sirianni era, and we have not been pleased with the philosophy 2 straight times.
Yeah,
the only difference is Jonathan Gannon was winning the statistical battle in year 2.
Correct.
Sean Desai is losing the statistical battle, and on top of that, losing the personnel battle as well.
So before when they hired Desai, I tried to tell everybody it's going to look very similar. Everybody hated Jonathan Gannon. Everybody crapped all over Jonathan Gannon. I get it. And he didn't have a good Super Bowl, but I thought he was a good defensive coordinator. I was on an island, but I was on the hill, taking strays and direct shots. Understood. But when they hired Desai, I tried to tell people this is going to look exactly the same because that's the type of coach that they want. That's the type of coach that they hire. They hire guys who believe in not giving up the big play, which means they're going to play off.
I'm willing to say, I'm sorry, Rob. I don't think it's that. I think they're willing to hire guys who know how to play ball.
Well, no, I think that's the case all around. That's the case with the head coach. That's the case with the coordinators as well. There's no doubt about that. Like I had somebody on one of my radio shows. I had a guy call up and tell me we got to hire Rex Ryan, and went on this whole
No,
Rex.
No. I don't want him.
No. But here's where I'm going with it. I don't want any parts of Rex Ryan. No, thank you. There's a reason why he's not in football. He's talking about it. But my point was, one of my points was, in addition to, I'm not a fan of him as a coordinator either, but his personality would never work here with the Eagles. Okay. So I think Desai philosophically comes from the Vic Fangio tree, which is to not give up the big play. And he understands that he's not going to come in and ruffle feathers or any of that kind of stuff. He is going to just roll with what they want him to roll with. And again, that's fine. It's worked up until this point. Now the wheels are coming off. The other thing is you once again, last year was the exception. You left the cupboard bare at linebacker because you don't prioritize it. And your defensive backs, who you considered letting go, if you remember, Bradbury almost walked and Slay almost walked. So you yourself had some doubts. You brought them back and they look old. Okay. And you've piecemealed the rest of it. The other problem, the last thing I'll say is your defensive line, because of how dominant they were last year, you thought they were going to be better this year. And they're not getting sacks at anywhere near the rate that they got them last year. Muted, Tone, muted.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sorry. I've been blowing my nose and I'm trying not to make
No, I know. I got
I'm not trying to sound like an elephant on the air.
Yeah.
Listen to this, right? Howie Roseman called himself being frugal at linebacker and at safety, right? He called himself trying to stay ahead of the curve, that he lives on that, right?
Yeah.
So you had a Super Bowl defense, or at least a defense that got you to the Super Bowl in 2022.
Yeah.
That was comprised of TJ Edwards, Marcus Epps, Kaiser White,
yeah,
CJ Gardner-Johnson, so on and so forth. And if you notice, I'm naming the guys that aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
I understand why you didn't bring back Javon Hargrave. He got 20 plus million. You're not paying that. But you supplement that by drafting Jalen Carter. So okay, I'm willing to roll with that, right? But let's just stick with the outlier positions: linebacker and safety.
Yep.
Okay, you pick up Reed Blankenship as an undrafted free agent. He showed he could play, so I'm rolling with that, right? TJ Edwards at linebacker. He signed a 3-year contract worth $19.5 million with the Chicago Bears. He's making an average salary of $6.5 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
And he only has $7.9 million of the total contract guaranteed. So you mean to tell me you couldn't keep TJ Edwards in the building for $8 million?
Right.
And he only signed a 3-year deal. You couldn't find a way to keep TJ Edwards in the building for $8 million. Word around the street is you didn't even make him an offer.
Right.
So then, and also Marcus Epps, you find a way to let him walk to the Vegas Raiders for 2 years, $12 million. He's making an average salary of $6 million with 10.3 guaranteed. That's good money.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me you couldn't find a way to pay either of these guys $6 million and $6.5 million respectively And
CJ DJ didn't get much either, Tony. He got $7 million a year.
And GJ didn't get that much either. Kaiser White, he got a 2-year deal worth $10 million with $6 million in total guarantees. You couldn't find a way to keep one of those guys. And look, I was fully okay with letting Kaiser walk, but TJ Edwards, he was the linchpin of this defense. You let him walk because my mindset was keep TJ, put Nakobe Dean next to him. That puts Nakobe Dean in a great situation to be incubated and grow and learn, right? But no, he completely goes gung-ho and lets both his linebackers walk and tries to replace them with guys that he found on the street, guys that other teams didn't even want anymore. TJ Edwards, he was undrafted, but you found him and you developed him. You let him walk. Marcus Epps, drafted in the 6th round, I believe. I don't know who drafted him. Let me double check this here. But he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 2019 in the 6th round. You let him walk. I'm sorry, he was drafted by Minnesota. And then he was waived by Minnesota, and the Philadelphia Eagles picked him up right away after that. And the same year he was drafted. So you developed Marcus Epps. You didn't draft him, but you picked him up the same year he was drafted, and he was cut by the Vikings, so on and so forth. But you developed Marcus Epps. You developed TJ Edwards, and you let them walk. You let them walk for that kind of money that you had, and you bring in Nicholas Morrow, Zach Cunningham. You make a trade for Kevin Byard, who I don't even know if he has anything left anymore. Like, you've cut corners in so many places, and now rent is due, and your team is suffering because you decided to cut corners on the defense side of the ball. He's been cutting corners specifically at linebacker for way too damn long. It comes a point in time where you have to buck up and either draft better or pay a guy to do the job properly. Because the way all this piecemealing, signing Shaq Leonard, and this defense is literally being held together by crazy glue and matter of fact, not even crazy glue, because crazy glue actually works. This is being held together by Elmer's glue, bubble gum, and not the white Elmer's glue, the Elmer's glue that got the glitter in it. Yeah. It doesn't even work.
The knockoff really. Elmer's, yeah.
The knockoff Elmer's, the kids' Elmer's.
The Bobo Elmer's,
It doesn't even really work.
Yeah.
Glue sticks and popsicle sticks and rubber bands and bubble gum and Armor All, whatever you're trying to do to make it stick, you just trying to get it to stick and it's not working.
Yeah.
So Howie Roseman has failed this defense. He has. It's no ifs, ands, buts about it. You thought you were getting a good deal with Bradbury and Slay. Lo and behold, they shot their load. It's over for those guys.
Yep.
Darius Slay, he will not be here next year. I'm willing to bet on that. James Bradbury, they may be stuck with him for another year.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this thing goes. But Howie Roseman, public enemy number 1. I'm looking at you.
All right. So Dallas was 9 for 16 on 3rd down. Last 4 games, the Eagles defensively have given up 38 of 66, which is 57%. That's an astronomical number on 3rd down. So they don't get off the field. 11 touchdown drives, 75-plus yards or more. First 11 games, 8 in the last 5 quarters. Through week 7, listen to this. They were 6th in points allowed, and they were giving up 290 per game. Both very good numbers. Since then, 30 points per game, 369 yards, which is 31st. They went from 6th to 31st. This isn't just slow. This is like cinder blocks tied to your legs being thrown into the Schuylkill River, and you're going right to the bottom. That's what's happening right now. 30 points or more last 3 games. I'll give you another one here. Reuben Frank, great stat. First team NFL history to start the season 10-1 or better and lose consecutive games by 20 points or more. And I get it. You may say this is sort of the tail end of a brutal stretch. They're on fumes right now. They play 2 teams that are on fire right now. All of that is real. But what does that say about the Eagles? Like, where are you when adversity hits? Where are you when you're playing the big boys? You're supposed to be a big boy. Where are you? and at least be competitive in these games. You aren't even competitive. You got killed.
You know what's so funny? That goes right into what Seth Joyner said, man. Listen to this. This thing is getting out of hand.
You know, when you watch James Bradbury flailing, you know, or Darius Slay running stride for stride with a guy, and then he feels the need to put his hands on the guy and gets a PI when you're step for step with him. Like, if I'm with a guy and I know I got him step for step, there's no need for me to grab him because I'm step for step with him. I know where he is. I can feel him with my body without me having to put my hands on him and getting a PI. See, but when you're out of position or you feel like you're beat, that's why guys get penalties. It's the same exact thing. When a guy's being pass rushed, when an offensive lineman is being pass rushed and he knows he's beat, his instinct is to grab the guy because he knows he's beat. And why does he get beat? 9 times out of 10 because he's technically and fundamentally flawed. When I look at this defense, they're technically and fundamentally flawed at every position across the board, okay? And you're not fixing that in week 14 or week 15. There's no remedy for that. You work on those things in the offseason.
There's my greatest fear, Tone. It's not so much what's and Seth, everything Seth said was right there in terms of, like, you know, the technical aspect of things. But what I worry about is I think the offense can get going. I do. I think there's enough talent there. I don't think there's enough talent for the defense to really get going. Like, do I think they can be better than giving up, 40 something and 30 something? Yeah. But are they going to be good enough? Like, they had a hell of a defense last year. I know what happened in the Super Bowl, but that defense, most games last year, dominated. Whether people liked Gannon or not, they dominated. This team is in big trouble on that side of the ball. You don't take the ball away generally. I know you had one last night, but you generally don't take it away a lot. You give up a lot of points. You don't get off the field on third down, which creates a lot of different things. When you don't get off the field on third down, your defense is out there forever and they're already tired and worn down and they're already older in a lot of spots. And then your offense doesn't get a chance to even get on the field. And that's a huge problem. I mean, I could talk about this stuff till I'm blue in the face, but I brought it up a bunch of times on the show. And one of the reasons why I would like to see them run the ball a little bit more, but time of possession last night, Cowboys had it for almost a quarter more than the Eagles did. Again. Right.
Many weeks in a row, you giving up over 400 yards of offense. The team possessing the ball significantly more than you. You're losing the turnover battle. You can't sustain drives on offense. You can't get up the field on third down. Bottom line, like Seth Joyner said, and again, this is a bad football team. Listen to this.
Seth, I want to let you let loose.
Oh, I'm not going deep tonight. I'm just not. The truth is, it's a bad football team. They fooled us. They fooled us through 11 games into believing that they are really good, and they're just not. And that sits at the crux of it all. Today was the clincher for me because understanding what's at stake and how you played last week, there's no way that you can show up, and put that out what they just did there. It really does go beyond, just the players. When I see the way that our cornerbacks play and I see the way that our linebackers play, it's evident to me that there's coaching issues there because those players aren't fundamentally sound at either position.
Seth, I want to let you let.
Okay.
Listen to that. It's no mystery. Like when you see a team playing this, again, we're on the defense side.
Yep.
When you see them playing that badly, there's ineffective coaching going on. And this goes from head coach to coordinator to position coaches, quality control.
Yeah.
I'm going at everybody. Everybody is food today because I'm looking at guys who've been in this league for years, Bradbury and Slay, and they look technically and fundamentally shot. Key third downs, they had opportunities to get up the field. That would have helped your offense. Pass interference.
Yeah.
And then, oh, Lord, he almost got away with it. Let me tell you this. He almost made it through the show without getting his name mentioned. Keely Ringo.
How about the hurdle?
He played 0 snaps going into this game. This is how you know they're desperate. They're just throwing bodies out there. Keely Ringo, key third down. This dude not only causes a defensive pass interference, he face masked the guy on the same play.
I've never seen it before.
And guess what? They don't offset,
No.
or you don't pick the greater penalty of the two.
You get both.
They call the pass interference at the spot of the foul.
Yeah.
And then they tack on
It was a 25-yard penalty.
And then they tack on another 15 yards for the face mask.
That's when you knew, like, if you were still wondering, you're like, this is probably the sign that this is not their night.
And then you get hurdled to play after that.
Jake Ferguson looked like an Olympic runner going over the hurdles and bringing home a gold medal.
What
going
the
over
hell
him.
is going on, Rob?
But it was so fundamentally poor. So, like, granted, props to Ferguson. The guy's obviously athletic. Okay.
I like him. He's good.
And he's a really good tight end, by the way. FYI, we're going to have to deal with him now for years. The dude's a beast. But I'm watching the form. The form is this, Tone. The head is down. You're not looking where you're going. I'm going to sound like Seth here for a minute. The head's down, and you're diving. You're doing the dive move to try to chop the legs. Ferguson saw it from a mile away and just leaped right over the guy because the form tackling was crap on the play. It's exactly what that was.
Oh man, oh man, oh man. Eagles fans, I know this sounds like a funeral today, but guess what, man? Everybody has to die at some point. And the fact of the matter is we still got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to get right.
No, look, this stuff needs to be said. Okay.
Yes.
We are not going to sit here and pretend and cover it up or any of that stuff. And it doesn't, I'll just speak for myself. I am not writing this team off, but we react to what we're seeing.
This is a week-to-week league, right, Rob? This is a week-to-week league.
Exactly right. And what we've seen the last 2 weeks has been an Eagles team that has been badly, I can't emphasize this enough, outplayed, outcoached, outprepared, out everything to your chief rivals. Listen, man, Detroit, forget it. Anybody else in the NFC, forget it. This is all about the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners. And the last time you have played those two teams, they have smoked you. And if that isn't concerning, I don't know what is.
And back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
See, again, we're not comparing. No one else. We don't give a damn about the Lions.
No.
I don't give a damn about the Packers.
I know they play Seattle next. Whatever.
It's
those
about
two
them.
teams. We know who it is, man. It's the Niners and the Cowboys. That's it.
Prior to the season, and the narrative held true, there are 3 teams in the NFC that are gunning for it. Eagles, Cowboys, Niners.
Yes.
Everybody else was, if they're.
And I don't even want to hear about the AFC. I'll worry about that if they get to that point. I don't care about those teams.
Right. It doesn't matter.
I'm worried about getting out of the NFC.
Exactly. Well, what's the point of beating like I said to you earlier? You beat the Dolphins, okay. You beat the Chiefs. You beat the Bills.
No, it's
cool.
good.
Those are good. They
Yeah.
count on the record as equal as anything else.
Yeah.
But you have to at least show that you can run with the teams that you're going to have to face in the playoffs in your conference. And 2 weeks in a row, you've shown that you don't belong on the same field. This is not an accident. This is not something we're just making up. This is not something that can just be skirted over and say, "Hey, we'll be okay." No, this is not that kind of situation here.
No.
The house is burning. The house is burning, Eagles fans.
Yeah.
Now the question
sit there sipping your tea while it's all going up in flames.
And the question becomes now: who's going to pick up the fire extinguisher? Who's going to get the water hose and put this thing out? I don't know who at this point.
Here's the thing, Tone. This is when adversity strikes is when you really find out what you're made of. When everything's going your way, look, man, it's easy to just kind of roll through your day and everything's gonna be fine and whatever. When it really hits.
Hold on, Rob. I got to respond to this real quick. No, the AFC doesn't have the best teams. The AFC has the better quarterbacks. The NFC has the better teams.
Yeah.
If you look at the top 3 teams in the NFC and look at the top 3 teams in the AFC, unequivocally, the top 3 teams in the NFC have better rosters. But the top 3 teams in the AFC have better quarterbacks. Come on, man. This is held true over the past 3 or 4 years.
I agree with you. All right, let's do this. We'll come back and let's get into the conference standings here. We're going to look at this thing, and we're going to walk you through what the Eagles have left, what the Niners have left, what the Cowboys have left. We'll throw Detroit in there. But we'll get into how this thing plays out here, because, you know, we're really down. I mean, we're down to 4 now, man. Like, there's not a lot left here in this season. And the loss last night, it's tricky how you look at it. They're the 5 seed right now. Well, let's do this when we get back. We'll explain all the machinations of this thing when we come back, and where everything is. We'll do our full-blown NFL segment as we always do at 1 o'clock, because there's a lot to dive into with yesterday's games. There's some craziness yesterday. So we'll do all those kind of things when we come back. Don't go anywhere. That's Tone DeShields. I'm Rob Ellis. We're Sports Take. All right. I want to tell you about Pro Action Restoration. You guys know I don't come on here and tell you or endorse anything that I haven't used or been a part of. Okay. And Pro Action Restoration, when I had water damage to my house, I reached out to them. They came out, they fixed it, and did it in an unbelievable manner. And now they're handling everything from my construction, with a new ceiling, with a new wall, with a new carpet, the whole 9. They're handling all of that. And it's one-stop shopping, which makes life a lot easier, believe me. And they work in conjunction with my insurance company. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you have any problems, whether it's water, smoke, fire, mold damage, they're there for you. They are licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. So again, water, fire, smoke, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.